but yeah, I think we don't ask for what we need for a couple of reasons. One, we don't know what we need. And secondly, we don't have the courage to ask for what we need, right? And I think those two things are just like going on for all of us, even me sometimes, where I'm just like, it's not that I don't know what I need, it's just like, oh, I don't, I can't ask for what I need. I don't deserve to get what I need. Like, or what I need is too big, it's too huge, right? That gets in the way of manifesting, what we really need, right? Um, and so much of the magic that we're trying to reawaken in terms of our liberation and healing is really starting to say, okay, I need to get free, right? And these are the resources that I need to get free. These are the resources I need to heal. These are the resources I need for others to experience liberation, healing, wellness, what have you, right? To really ask, to say like, I need this, right? I need this to really channel these needs into the prayers, right? This is how we get energy moving. You get clear, right? So I want us to hold that, as we enter into our practice, I want us to hold getting clear about what we need. Even if it feels like pointless, like even if it feels hopeless, that's especially when you ask, right? What seems impossible, that's exciting for me, right? Because the hardest thing to make happen is getting free, getting enlightened, right? That's the hardest thing to do. And if you don't have the courage to ask to get enlightened, nothing else is really going to happen that's really important. And this is why traditionally in our prayers, we're always praying for enlightenment, right? If you go to a traditional Buddhist space, it's like, yeah, the prayer is about let's get awakened, let's get enlightened, right? That should always be your prayer. Actually, that should always be all of y'all's prayer. May I get free from suffering, may I get free from delusion, may I get free, from duality and the binary, may I get free, from all this shit. May I awaken back to my most authentic, true nature, my awakened nature, right? And to make that prayer as natural as possible, because that's also about aligning back towards our true natures, back towards, our Buddha nature, what have you. May I get free. May we all get free. Right? That's why, I always end our prayers with may we all get free. Right? Sometimes not even like may all systems of violence end, because quite honestly, we're gonna get free before we see justice, ultimate justice happening. Right? Because the nature of samsara is unjust, right? Like we're not trying to make samsara just, we're trying to get the fuck out of here. I'm not trying to make the nightmare work. I'm trying to end the nightmare. I'm trying to shut down the program. And yeah, we're working to get, to reduce harm and violence as much as possible. But you will come to a place in your practice. I don't know when. I don't know if it's going to be in this life or next life or a few lives down the road, but you'll get to a point where you will choose freedom over justice. I don't know. I can't give you any more details than that, right? You know, but again, I think about Harriet Tubman. Harriet Tubman could have stayed on the plantation, right? And it could have been like, let's organize the plantation to be more equitable. No, she was like, no, I'm getting the fuck out of here. Right? And she left her family, right? Initially, she left her family, right? That's part of the choice as bodhisattvas or new saints in training that we will face one day. Like, I may have to leave people in order to get free, but that may actually help me to develop the agency or the resources to return back in a different form to get people free, right? I may not be able to abolish certain systems, but maybe I can develop the capacity to help people escape these systems into something else, right? You know, I think sometimes in this real subtle way, like we prefer to get into the cycle of justice work, or we get into the cycle of the nonprofit industrial complex that in many ways just perpetuates itself, right? Instead of saying, how do I free myself and others from this cycle, period, you know? Um, which is all very subtle. I would, suggest just referring to New Saints, just to read more about kind of the nuances here, right? But liberation work is very complex. It's not straightforward. It's not black or white. It's very gray, you know. Um, and there's a lot of heartbreak to get free, right? You're gonna have to make some hard choices, often actually, to get free, right? And I'm just, I don't know, I'm just preparing you for that, right? Um, often, in our work, particularly for those of us who are coming up, and have come up in traditional Buddhist spaces, this rhetoric around liberation and enlightenment sounds is too simple, and my liberation work has not been simple. It's actually been full of a lot of mistakes, right? It's been often full of choice, times where I have had to choose violence over peace. I've had to push, instead of just allowing. I've had to act up, right, instead of being like, you know, peaceful or settled, right? It's about responding, right, to what needs to be responded to, right, to respond to what's happening, to meet energy with similar energy sometimes. Um, and this is what I think overall we're kind of looking at, in the world, right, as fascism is on a very sharp rise all over the world, and particularly here in the United States. Like, fascism just doesn't go away because we want it to. Nor will it go away if you vote Democrat, right? I know y'all don't like to hear that, but you need to be listening to, mm, who should you be listening to? You should be listening to people closest and deep in these systems of oppression when they tell you, that the solution to systemic injustice is to abolish the system, right? Not to reform it. America's been trying to reform for centuries. And we tend to be going in a circle, right back to the beginning, right? Right back to genocide, right back to control and domination, right? Then at what point do you say, disrupt the system, challenge the trouble, the system? That reminds me, of course, we're going to get into practice. I never mean to say anything at the beginning of practice, and then like an hour later we haven't practiced, but we're going to get into practice. But like I remember, God's going to trouble the water, which of course is like is a spiritual, right? Wade in the water. It was a direction that guided people to the river, to water, like get into the water, get into the river, trouble the river, like it was code. But another meaning that comes to me right now is that like you have to trouble things. What did John Lewis, good trouble, right? John Lewis, right? Who represented Atlanta for so many years and was a civil rights movement leader here in Atlanta. Like, you have to troubleshoot, like some of you need to learn to troubleshoot. And when you troubleshoot, that means that you're not going to be considered a good person by other people around you. You have to learn how to hold that, right? You have to stop trying to be good, especially when good becomes an expression of maintaining systems, you know? It's like I was talking about in Love and Rage, right? And also in New Saints, goodness. Like, goodness is just something that's weaponized against us to keep us like from causing trouble, from actually acknowledging and naming, harm that's happening, right? Good people stay silent. That's what that means. Like, if you're a good person, you're just quiet, you just let shit happen. You just start acting up. You need to stop obeying. And that goes back to the root kind of teaching of liberation struggle, is that at some point you have to choose your liberation, that you can't wait around for someone else to choose it for you, right? You can't wait around for a party or a political leader to get you free. At some point you have to choose this, and that's where I come from. Like, that's Black liberation struggle, that's Black prophetic tradition, like that's just inherent in everything that I do. That's how I was raised. Like, we have to choose to get free, and we struggle after that choice to bring about freedom, to bring about liberation. But of course, Black liberation struggle is really about all of us getting free, right? And some of you don't have that kind of that ethic, that you don't understand that your liberation is about getting everyone liberated. Again, that's the Bodhisattva vow. I'm getting free to get everyone free, right? You can't save someone from drowning if you don't know how to swim, right? So this is what this means. It's like, if I'm not free, how can I help you, right? How can I jump into chaos and delusion and suffering to get you out if I am not clear about what I am? See? Like, if I'm not clear about what I am and who I am, then I get wrapped up in the same carceral logics that everyone else is wrapped up in. And then we just start creating harm against each other, right? And there are too many spiritual leaders who are nowhere near free, who have no ethic of collective liberation, but they're pretending to try to get you free, right? And then y'all all are just spiraling deeper and deeper into delusion. Right? And I just, at this point in my life, this isn't a big deal for me anymore. Quite honestly, just to be very truthful, liberation struggle is just what I do. Getting free is just what I do. Everything that I do is about helping people get free. It's just what I do. I don't think about it anymore, right? Because I know that the freer I get, the freer you get, right? There's no medicine Buddha without my kind of realization, right? Because and that realization is the clarity that I've struggled to develop in my practice, right? I become a portal for you. There's no portal for you to enter into in this practice if I haven't done that labor for myself through and with the kindness of my own teachers, right? That's how this works. Someone gets free, then they open the door for you, and then you go through the door, then you turn back around and open another door for someone else, and then they turn around and open the door. This is the pyramid chain that we're trying to awaken. This is the middle marketing scheme, right? Where everyone wins at the end, because it's a scheme that keeps on giving, right? It just doesn't help the people or the beings at the top. It helps everyone at the bottom as well. As long as we keep going, this is the pyramid scheme that we have to keep, that has to keep going to the very end. Because at the very end, everyone's going to get benefited. If I help, that someone helps me, I help them, and then they help others, and then those others help others. So, and this is what we're doing in our healing work as we turn back to medicine Buddha. This is the healing. What are we talking about in our healing? We're talking about balance. Like we're talking about space, right? We're talking about remembrance. Like remembrance, for me, remembrance is such a sacred word. Remembrance. We're not creating shit, we're remembering. It's already created. Enlightenment is already created, is already there. Enlightenment wasn't ever created, nor can it be destroyed. It just is. We just forgot what enlightenment was. Like we got distracted from the space. And now we're trying to remember the space. We're trying to expand back into the space. Right? We're trying to expand out from this like contracted sense of ego, and we're trying to come back out to the space which is limitless, boundless, free, fluid. That's the freedom we're talking about. And even in the body, even in this world, even in this moment, if we can, remember space, then we're doing this work to disrupt the ways in which these carceral logics are always trying to define us, indoctrinate us. You can be free in an unfree world, right? And of course, this is what we do in Free Radicals. So if you join me on Thursday on Independence Day in America, right, here in the States, like, this is what we're talking about, freedom, right? You have to stop letting the phenomenal world define you. Instead, you need to start remembering that the phenomenal world is just an expression of emptiness and space. Right? And that means you have to stop believing everything. You have to stop, you know. My mom used to say that I believe, what did she say? She would say, you believe everything people tell you. That was when I was younger. That's before I became skeptical. Yeah, but to adjust that, it's like you have to stop believing what you think phenomenal reality is trying to tell you. We break the rigidity of phenomenal reality by actually learning how to tune into its essence, which is our essence as well. Everything, the essence of everything is spacious and energetic, right? And then that's when you start getting free in an unfree world, right? That's when you stop letting things get in the way, right? And if you can't just like command or tune into the essence of everything, then you start praying. Like prayer is another channel that we use to get into the essence of things. We pray, we open, we channel, which is, we're always doing this in practice. There has never been a practice session where we haven't been practicing some form of channeling and opening. So anyway, that's all I wanted to say. And as always, welcome to those of you who are new to Medicine Buddha. We're gonna get around to practice, now. So it's not just you sitting there in your homes listening to me rant about something. Rant about the first thought that comes in my mind. So yeah, let's turn into practice. I was really enjoying our practice last week. It felt really sweet. And we were talking about and practicing with pointing out instructions and, turning our attention, our awareness, our minds. I don't like using the word mind. We always hear this instruction, turn your mind. The mind can't be turned, right? And I know that seems very like, kind of technical here, but precision is what we're trying to get into, precision. Right? So we're talking about awareness, we're talking about consciousness. For me, consciousness and mind are not the same thing, right? Consciousness is energy that's aware, right? That's mind. That's like the smaller sense of mind is consciousness that's aware, but like the larger sense of mind is this boundless space that consciousness arises in, right? Anyway, I don't want to get into all these technicalities now. We're just trying to practice. We're not trying to think about shit, trying to be. So anyway, always beginning, let's come into the space, always just reminding you to go ahead and get those prayer requests up, right? So I'll turn to those, eventually. So let's begin by locating ourselves. And what I mean is let's call ourselves into this moment. So let's call ourselves from the past. Let's call ourselves from the future. Let's start arriving. Let's start calling our awareness into this moment, into the space that we're practicing in, onto the lands, right, that we find ourselves on. Maybe call ourselves into noticing sensations, noticing things that seem to be happening externally, like sounds and temperature and light texture, whatever. What's happening now? Just like the old TV show from the 70s and 80s, what's happening? And of course, the reboot from the 80s, what's happening now? Of course, half of you don't know what those shows are. That's fine. What's happening? What's happening now? And you will, yes, you will begin to encounter both the pleasant and the unpleasant, right? The sweetness and the happiness and the joy, but also the sadness, the anger, the fear. And particularly when you're encountering what's pleasant or unpleasant, noticing your reactivity, right? Your reactivity to pleasant. Like how you're like, oh, I'm gonna grab onto this, I'm gonna lean deeper into this, because that feels good. Noticing how you're pushing away the unpleasant. Ooh, get that away. I don't want to be afraid. I don't want to be uncomfortable. I don't want to be sick. I don't want to die. I don't, want to grow older. Right? That's all wrapped up in it and unpleasant. I don't want to change. Impermanence. Impermanence is where we suffer. That's the root of the unpleasant is impermanence. Things are always changing, right? I just want to stay in what feels good. Staying in what feels good and pushing away what doesn't feel good, neither one of those is the solution here. Instead, how do you actually allow both the unpleasant and the pleasant to arise together? How do you hold space without reacting to everything? Because if you don't know how to hold space, which again is the root of calm abiding meditation or shamatha, meditation, then you won't ever be able to choose freedom, because freedom is a response to what arises in the moment, not a reactivity. It's a response. I respond to what frees me from the duality, from the binary of pleasant and unpleasant. And what we choose is an, attunement, or a, a connection, or an experience of emptiness itself. Again, the magic eye phenomenon, right? Not to just, like, when you're looking at a magic eye, not to just like focus on the different, like, little, like, you know, pieces of the magic eye, but to allow a resting, and that resting begins to refocus our eyes into the actual image, that lies beneath what seems like this chaotic jumble picture. And if you don't know what a magic eye book is, take a look at those, the bookstore, look it up online. So in a real way, our liberation is really about relaxing even in the midst of chaos, even in the midst of systemic collapse. This is our starting point to get free. This is a tall order here. This is like, you know, it's harder to start practicing this for the first time in chaos, you know, but to hold everything and to say, okay, where's the liberation at? What is liberation in this moment of crisis and chaos? And again, showing up, being present to this moment, the moment right now, this is the door that gets us free. You can't get free in the past, you can't get free in the future. Right now is when we choose to get free. This is when we choose to hold everything that's arising. And as everything arises, and as everything is being held in this arising, then this door to freedom starts to open. That door is the attunement to the actual nature, the essence of all phenomena. The surface, right, is chaos, but the heart of it is stillness, emptiness, space. So in a way, you stop believing what the chaos is serving you. And then you say, but what else is here? What's at the center of this? What's at the heart of this? And that seeing, and I'm not talking about the visual seeing, when I say see, I'm talking about intuition. I'm talking about this feeling, right? And my practice and my liberation is a feeling, like but not like happiness or sadness, not that kind of feeling, but it's like I know what emptiness feels like. In the same way we can say we know what emptiness tastes like. And again, emptiness isn't this coldness. It's not this nihilism. It's not that. It's like a stillness that feels boundless and fluid. It's like you're fluid, but you're not moving. You're not going anywhere. It's just this feeling of complete, it's the feeling of there being no boundaries, no bounds, boundlessness, but also centeredness at the same time. And you know you get there because you will start experiencing a kind of um well, it's hard to articulate, but it's like, I guess we're feeling everything, we're holding everything, but we're not distracted. Everything is happening, but you're still here, which is probably still not the best way to describe any of this. But we're being pointed in the right direction, right? This is why this is called pointing out instructions. They're not called like, you know, planting instructions. I'm gonna put you right in emptiness. I'm just pointing you in the direction, right? But you have to do the labor to figure out what this is for you. And again, this essence is where all the Buddhas are born. This essence is the mother, right? This essence is Tara, it's Prajaparamita, it's Kali. Right? The emptiness itself, right, is the expression of the mother in these traditions. The suchness, mind, like things, illusion, are all expressions of this emptiness as well. Because to get to know the deity, to develop intimacy with the deity, is synonymous with saying developing intimacy or an experience of emptiness and space. But to get to developing intimacy with emptiness and space is also to begin to develop a deeper knowing also of our natures. And we're not trying to like disappear anything either. You're not trying to dissolve everything, right? You're not just actually trying to remember what the fucking point is. Get back to the points. And the point being the emptiness. If you get to the point, you are freed from this intense belief in realness. You get back to emptiness just in the meditation practice, just in the body. You get freed from this compulsory, attached, fixated relationship to the illusion of phenomena. It's the moment when you realize, as you're in a dream, you're like, oh, this is a dream. It doesn't mean you wake up from the dream. It means that like you're no longer fixated to the realness of the dream. And then that's when you get real effective. That's when you're no longer bound by these illusionary rules of the dream. And that's what happens to a bodhisattva. They're no longer bound by the same illusions we are. Like we see a wall, but they see potential. Right? Everything is simply an expression of potential. We see an end, right? But a bodhisattva sees a continuation. So the bodhisattva in this moment in the world doesn't see the end of the world. They see the creation, the birth of liberation. You see apocalypse, but I see decolonization. You have to flip all of this around. So this is the work that we're always doing, right? It's like always making these connections. Right? And this is the heart of essence practice, right? This is what I do, essence practice. Let's get to the point. It's not about the deity, it's not about medicine Buddha, it's about this. The Buddha, or all the Buddhas really, are just portals, doorways into back to the essence, back to the nature. It's like the little red flag that the bull runners, the bull, I forget what they're called, but like the bull people in the ring, are like, waving in front of the bull, right? So medicine bull is just a red flag, and we're just kind of charged to the red flag because some of us really like bright colors, right? But everything is a portal though, and that's Mahamudra, right? Mahamudra says that everything that arises is always pointing you back to its origination, which is emptiness, right? Everything arises, and it arises with this trail, like it's something that like, it's like something that's dripping from its arising. All you do is follow the drip back to where it arose from. That's Mahamudra. Like, allow phenomena to point you back to its origination. But you have to choose that. You have to choose that by seeing phenomena as just pointing us back to the origins. And then as you're leaning back to these origins, to the origin, right? This is only one point that we're trying to get to, is the essence, the emptiness, the space, the energy, getting back into this experience of what this actually is. And that as you're leaning towards that essence, then you start calling that essence to meet you. And this is what mantra is. This is what prayer is. You're calling into the essence to make itself apparent. Like it's like the mantra and the prayers and the visualizations and the rituals and ceremonies, it's like trying to reach in to emptiness. And when you have that willingness, that deep intention to reach in, then the emptiness will reach to meet you. And that's called faith and trust. Like when we call out to the nature of things, we have to believe that the nature will call back to us and reach out for us. If you don't have that faith, there's no connection. And when you're calling out, praying during mantra, visualization, as you're calling into the heart of this essence, right? And as you allow the essence to reach out to touch you, then in that touching, in that coming together, there's a sweetness. And maybe sometimes that's called samadhi. But that's the experience that some of you have had, is when you reach out to touch and you get touched back. And you're like, oh, this is it. And when we learn how to stay in that embrace, that is enlightenment. When we remember that we were never separate to begin with, when we break even through that illusion of separateness, then we've returned, then we have remembered. So continuing by just feeling the seat under you rise to hold you, feeling the weight of the body, that foundation, calling the earth, touching the earth, and acknowledging the earth under us, acknowledging the solidity, the foundation of the earth, not as this physical, phenomenal thing, but also as this energetic experience of foundation and support. The earth, the element of the earth, is more than just this physical element in this realm. The earth is the structure, the foundation of everything. And so as we're leaning into this essence, feeling, the foundation of the earth and the seat, we begin to call in to this essence. And we begin to call into the essence in a way to shape this essence into the form, into the portal that we're relying on in this moment. And that portal is the expression of medicine Buddha. And we begin that calling first by turning our minds, our attention to the desire to get free. And you may not know what that means, right? But just reflect on what it could feel like not to suffer. Right? Not to bypass suffering, not to sidestep suffering, but just not to suffer. What is that? What would that mean? What would that be like? What would that be like for yourself? What would that be like for others? All beings. Not to suffer, not to be uncomfortable, not to struggle in wars and famines and genocides or sickness, right? Or fear or trauma. What would that be like for those experiences to be completely exhausted? To want this for all beings, including yourself. Because ultimately, when we talk about healing, we're talking about freedom from suffering. Relatively, when we talk about freedom relatively, we're talking about the capacity to balance both comfort and discomfort, be able to hold space for both, to be able to respond to what needs to be responded to, not just reacting, but responding to the discomfort by tending to it, taking care of it, offering space. But ultimate healing, transcending the binary, the duality of comfort and discomfort completely. Because freedom, liberation, enlightenment is not comfortable, it's not fun, it's not pleasant, because those experiences no longer exist. Comfort is only appropriate within this relationship to ego. When there is no more ego, there's no more need to be comfortable, because there's no more experience of discomfort as a comparison. And that's completely outside of our dualistic mind in this moment. I get it. To transcend comfort and discomfort, and the fear that arises for you because you don't know what's beyond comfort and discomfort, because your fixation to ego won't allow you to dream and to imagine. Because if you could dream and imagine what it means to transcend comfort and discomfort, that means that you will actually transcend ego. And that is the ultimate terror that we face. You can't get free and hold on to the ego at the same time. And that's called comfort, that's called overconsumption, that's called privilege in this world. I hope someone's writing this down. This is some good shit that's coming out. I have opened a channel tonight. So once you start longing for this ultimate healing, this ultimate freedom, both ultimate and relative, right? Then we start reaching even more. And this is when we turn our attention to the first of our mantras, Omen La Sangye Kino Soha. And as we chant this, as we usually do, chanting it 3 times, starting with ending with as well. What? So as we're chanting this, we're reaching into this essence. And you can actually do this somatically, right? You can actually reach physically, right? If that's helpful. Like use your body, use movement, act this out, right? But also like this feeling that you're expanding into something, you're expanding through the realness of everything into this essence. And allow that essence. Like don't think of this as like this long space that you have to keep reaching and reaching into. There's no such thing as space in journeying, right? Nothing's really happening right now, right? I'm not going to get into that. That will just take me into the matrix. But as you're reaching through this mantra, just awaken this trust that if we're reaching energetically, then this essence is going to reach out back and touch us. So that's the relaxing. You can't be anxious about this. You can't say, I hope the essence arises to meet me. You have to say the essence is arising to meet me, because ultimately it is. Because you, me, everything is the essence. When I say that there's nowhere to go, there isn't anywhere to go. It's the illusion that we're going somewhere, but you don't get that now. So now we have to reach, but also in the back of our minds, we're saying, but I'm not reaching at the same time, right? That's the Heart Sutra. So let's try it. Sorry for those of you who are just joining us for the first time. I am throwing you into the deep end in this practice. Sorry. We'll make it though. So remembering these instructions, we turn our minds, our attention to the first mantra. Minla Sange Kino Soha, Medicine Buddha, please look upon me, think of me. Again, asking this essence in the form of Medicine Buddha to make itself known. All right, we began with Om. Om La Sangye Kino Soha. Om La Sangye Kino Soha. Om La Sangye Kino Soha. And so regardless of what we feel and don't feel, we're still connecting, immersed in this essence, which is just our nature to begin with, right? But in this essence, this experience of Medicine Buddha begins to awaken. And not to like visualize anything, right? But in our minds, in our imaginations, however you get into the experience of mind, we imagine that the space, the emptiness of our minds begins to take form as medicine Buddha. And not to give you any more instruction than that, just to say allow your minds to form, to awaken as medicine Buddha. And what is that experience that arises for you? What happens? So we're gonna transition into the main mantra, and again, the mantra as prayer, as opening, as connection, right? Not thinking about anything, but allowing yourself to experience this union. As we go into the mantra for a little bit, then coming to our prayer request, then coming back to the mantra, right? And we'll probably go about 10 minutes over time tonight, just to let you know. But when you're ready, right, and as always, we can engage with the mantra any way that feels appropriate for us. We can sit and listen and experience. We can chant along, whatever you're naturally being called into. Just let it be. Don't even think about it. Whatever happens, let it just happen. Make this easy. Make it natural. Relax. Relaxing is how we stay connected. Is how we stay rooted in this. Right? We'll begin. O te ara begenze, begenze, ma begenze, razo sungatis oa. Te ana begenze, begenze, ma begenze, razo sungatis oa. Te ara begenze, begenze, ma begenze, razo sungatis oa. Te ara begenze, begenze, ma begenze, razo sungatis oa. Te ana begenze, begenze, ma begenze, razo sungatis oa. Te ana begenze, begenze, ma begenze, razo sungatis oa. Te ana begenze, begenze, ma begenze, razo sungatis oa. Te ana begenze, begenze, ma begenze, razo sungatis oa. Te ana begenze, begenze, ma begenze, razo sungatis oa. Te ana begenze, begenze, ma begenze, razo sungatis oa. Te ana begenze, begenze, 수문가르소아 제야자 옴비근세 비근세 마비근세 라즈 수문가르소아 제야자 옴비근세 비근세 마비근세 라즈 수문가르소아 제한다 움비근세 비근세 마비근세 라스 수문가테 소아 제한다 움비근세 비근세 마비근세 라스 수문가테 소아 제한다 움비근세 비근세 마비근세 라스 수문가르소아 제야다 움비근세 비근세 마비근세 라스 수문가르소아 제야다 움비근세 비근세 마비근세 라스 수문가르소아 제야다 움비근세 비근세 마비근세 라스 수문가테 소아 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 제야다 움비근세 zoa. Deana umbegense, begense, ma begense, lasse sumungare 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 zoa. Just turning just attention to our prayer requests. And again, from this essence, from this emptiness, we call into form, call into being all of our sources of refuge. All the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, the Yidams, the Dharma protectors, all beings of light, all beings essentially that are trying to get us free. We call you. And we offer these prayers to you, and offering these prayers to you, we offer these prayers into the potential of the essence of emptiness to remind us of what we are so that we all can get free from this delusion of realness. And we offer our prayers to the internal child who feels abandoned, offering prayers for Thomas, Joe, and Ruth, to send prayers and blessings to my niece that she remains strong and delivers a strong and spirited child, offering prayers that the very wounded relationship between my daughter and her father, that he have the awakenings needed to be in a relationship with her, offering prayers for my father to be courageous and open to receive love as he lives with terminal cancer, offering prayers for the land and the people of Hawaii and Rimpak unfolds, offering prayers for the spirits of the mountains and the waters that all may be well and recover from the selfish deeds of humans, and offering prayers for a full and speedy recovery to Pam from her surgery. May you be healed beautifully as you have helped countless others to heal from their psychic and spiritual pain. Offering prayers for liberation of all that are feeling lost and fearful these days due to prolonged financial and work problems. Offering prayers for my brother to be lifted up and out of mental confusion, illness, and to accept support on his journey. Offering prayers for my father to move out of depression and into a modicum of peace and acceptance for himself and others, and offering prayers for continued focus and practice towards liberation to Lama Rod and Eric and everyone in this community for uplifting me and doing this life-saving and life-giving work. Offering prayers for myself that I continue to more and more deeply be woven into life. Prayers that I am brave in the dark. Prayers for me to keep opening my heart as I spend the summer with my family of origin, and to tend to my hungry ghosts and not eat out of boredom and checking out of my feelings. Please help me to be the medicine not only for others but also for myself, and offering prayers that I can easily secure a new place to live, that when I have my eye on and recover from violence so I can get back on track and finish my degree. Prayers for N and R and for all the people who have helped me to get to safety. Prayers for everyone experiencing violence throughout history, including genocide and war, that they may escape it or have somewhere safe to flee to, better places than they left. Prayers for the swift and complete liberation of Lama Rod. May all beings in all realms and timeliness be free. Offering prayers for Tom and his family as they go through a divorce. Offering prayers for my family, friends, the Sangha, chosen family. May we all find the support and freedom to carry on with love, compassion, and discernment. Offering prayers for myself and all beloveds as we navigate shifts and struggles and how we relate, so we may all be held and hold each other with love, care, and attention. Offering prayers for my dear friends supporting their mom through a challenging series of losses and grief. Offering prayers for all those being impacted by extreme weather events and navigating the aftermath of such events, especially the communities near me in New Mexico that are building back after massive wildfires and flash floods. Offering prayers for myself for an upcoming life transition. May I be supported and trust in the support. Prayers for my soul, family, safe travel this week. May I be peaceful and healthy in my interactions with my family of origin. Offering prayers for a big job interview this week after the last year plus of unemployment. And offering prayers for the successful launch of my new book project in service of the spirit world. Offering prayers to myself and all those struggling to believe in our own inherent worth. May we trust in ourselves, offer ourselves deep self compassion, and find community that reflects this back to us. Offering prayers that I find a job that is in deep alignment with my values and allows me to meet my basic needs in a capitalist culture. May I lean into generosity and abundance even during times of uncertainty. Offering prayers to myself to find work, income so my daughter and I can stay in our house for years to come. Offering prayers for the healing of my faith, offering prayers to help me settle my fear, offering prayers for all my beloveds, invisible and embodied, offering prayers that I grow confident in moving forward alone without the ego supports of the past as I build the new reflex and of relaxing back into the invisible safety that I believe is there for me. Offering prayers that my daughter find the will to eat solid food and enjoy eating again. Offering prayers that my daughter thrives and is renewed by the road trip we are embarking on. Gratitude for Lama Rod and for the Sangha. Prayers for Eli Red and the chronic nerve pain that lights up their right side with intense pain. May this practice usher in ease and rest. Offering prayers for all those around the world who are anxious about the future in the U.S. election. May we work and pray and know that things are not as they seem. Offering prayers that those in power in the Democratic Party can understand the urgency in the current situation. Offering prayers that I can balance some urgent body needs with joy. Offering prayers for Blakely and her husband Corky's safety as they go back to Texas to pick up a car that broke down. Offering prayers for all those fearful in France that the fascists will not win this weekend. Offering prayers for P, may their health improve, may they find a suitable job and be able to afford, may they be able to, may they able to afford what they need. For CNN, may they get what they need. Prayers for Richard and his recognition of his mania, for his sobriety and stability. Prayers for protection for Richard. Prayers for Cynthia as she is in the bardo. Prayers for Hannah as she experiences the death of her mother. Prayers for my community to be held as we reorganize after the death of our teacher. Prayers for moving forward my career in the direction of creativity, service, joy, aliveness, financial stability, and liberation. Offering prayers for myself, may I get what I need. Offering prayers to dream forward and get clear on my new future that aligns with the work I need to be doing, that I get some signs on what I should be doing. Offering prayers for my dear friend Isaac as he moves through mental health struggles. May he be well. May he know he is cared for. May he feel he is cared for. Offering prayers to my cousin Emma as they move through treatment for breast cancer. May they be healthy and as well as soon as possible, and may they feel the love and support of their community and family through the process. Offering prayers to my dear friend Nikki as she moves through breast cancer treatment. May she move through this situation with fierceness, acceptance, tenderness, and care. May she feel the care of the people who love her, and may she be healthy as well as quickly as possible. Offering prayers for clarity in my path. May I get free from duality and see the nature of reality so that I can better serve the freedom of others. May I get free from relationships that foster confusion and come into more relationships that foster clear seeing. Offering prayers to my sister. May she feel beauty, her light, and light of the unknowable. May she learn to take good care of herself from a place of worthiness and not lack. Prayers for the people of Gaza, Israel, and for the swift and permanent ceasefire, the rise of leaders that actually care about the peoples of the land. Prayers for my parents in their upcoming move. Offering prayers for my body and mind to experience rest fully and completely over the next 3 days. And prayers for my sustainability and health over the long term. Prayers for me to find a separate living space in the next months. Prayers for Nippy. May she fully recover from a persistent high fever immediately. May her body navigate all the wisdom of medicine journey with ease. Prayers Offering prayers for Kanal, may every cancer in her body be completely removed. May she and her family continue to receive all the support and care that they need. Offering prayers that I secure housing that is safe and full of care. May I receive all the money I need to live in the living situation of my dreams. May I be guided to listen with such attuned compassion that the greatest possibility for nourishment becomes my reality. The home environment that will create a sense of safety and protection will hold me so that I can get free and dedicate my life to helping everything and everyone else get free. Offering prayers for my beloved wife and I to see our way through this challenging time, that we turn toward each other and grow together. Prayers for my beloved cat Soup for his continued healing from his broken leg. Prayers for my beloved brother, his wife, as she continues to fight cancer. Prayers for my beloved family that we find our way through anxiety and depression. Prayers for the courage to not abide the bullshit. Prayers for support for me in holding pain, anxiety, grief, and rage that I'm feeling right now. Prayers that I may be connected to those that I need to be connected with to be able to take this energy inside of me into liberatory action. Prayers that whatever happens in this dream, we call the United States is what happens, is what needs to happen to all beings to get free. Offering prayers for vision, clarity, and acceptance of Salix, may they awaken to the light of their own true nature. Offering prayers for my dad as he enters into treatment for substance use again. May he have what he needs and may he get well and free. May I get free from fear based responses to what I witnessed my dad go through. Offering prayers for myself that I get clear, that I get free. Offering prayers that the contingent job that comes through and is a good fit. May I grow professionally and spiritually in this possible role. May I find a new home to relocate with ease. May I be free from financially and free from transactional love. May I have the capacity to heal my own shortcomings. Offering prayers that I get free of chronic nerve pain and that my body and mind and heart is freed of deep and seated suffering. Offering prayers that my partner and I receive the resources we need and the time we need them that serves the greatest good, our freedom and that of others. May we be released from fear of not having enough money and open to receiving the abundance available. Offering prayers for Jane, her sadness so deep as she loses a dear friend. Offering prayers for me, having pushed aside the pain so long and now diagnosis of rheumatoid arthritis and autoimmune situation, and feeling overwhelmed. Feeling prayers for my parents as they navigate health issues and life challenges. Offering prayers that I remember to pray, how to pray. Offering prayers for my friend Daniel's blog, who died suddenly on Saturday. Prayers for his wife Linda, the children, grandchildren, and everyone in their various communities, including one I'm a part of, and grieving his loss. Prayers that my son gets the new job he's interviewing for. Prayers for Naira and her daughter-in-law April, the new grandson Arlo, and their whole family as April recovers from sepsis and UTI and postpartum depression. Offering prayers for my daughter's son-in-law as they parent their two children on the autism spectrum. Offering prayers for myself to remain clear and connected to care for myself and all those people I love. Prayers for continued protection, abundance, financial freedom, and ease. May I open further to my creative self, and may I remember I am free. Offering prayers to my beloved, may you always know how loved you are. May you choose the path of freedom. May you be free. Offering prayers that I may awaken more and more to the love, spaciousness, and wholeness that is always present within me and all around in the midst of feeling the suffering that arises within me. May I know my true nature as a whole and part of the whole emptiness of all. Offering prayers that my heart break over a lost relationship help me heal my heart from past traumas, and may my heart remain open for love that I'm calling in. May it find me with a partner that's meant for me, and me for them find each other in a love that helps each other home. Offering prayers for my mom as she struggles with paranoia due to her dementia. Prayers for my family. May we find our way back to each other with forgiveness and love. Prayers that I may find my way back to the work that I'm called to do joyfully, where I may make the most impact with the gifts that I have been given. Offering prayers that I remember that I am supported by the guides and ancestors as I step back into devoted practice to get free and fiercely support our collective freedom. Prayers also that I and my family may have what we need materially and financially so we may be supported in our pursuit of loving more and more. I continue to offer prayers also for the Kashi community, for our healing, for our stability, and for our liberation. Offering prayers to David, may he continue to heal. Also for Nola, I continue to offer prayers for the Spirit Underground project and the community, that it may awaken and flourish to benefit all beings. I continue to pray for the liberation of all beings from all systems of dominance and control and violence. May all of our nations, all of our countries awaken to freedom and to overcome the illusion of control. May all systems of violence be completely abolished as soon as possible. May we all remember our inherent awakened natures. May we all get free and return home together as quickly as possible. And may it be so. And we offer these prayers into the essence, into the emptiness, and we pray that the emptiness reminds us of the freedom that is always ours to remember, to return back to. May this world be free completely. And as we turn our attention back to the mantra, just again returning back to this union, to this connection, as the energy of these prayers begins to shape this phenomenal world in the way that we most need it to be shaped. O te anda begenze, begenze, ma begenze, rassumungatte soa. Te ala begenze, begenze, ma begenze, rassumungatte soa. Te ala begenze, begenze, ma begenze, soa. Te ada begenze, begenze, ma begenze, raza sumungare soa. Te ada begenze, begenze, ma begenze, raza sumungare soa. Te ada begenze, begenze, ma begenze, raza sumungare soa. Te ala begenze, begenze, ma begenze, raza sumungate soa. Te ala begenze, begenze, ma begenze, raza sumungate soa. Te ala begenze, begenze, ma begenze, raza sumungate soa. Te ala begenze, begenze, ma begenze, raza sumungate soa. Te ala begenze, begenze, ma begenze, raza sumungate soa. Te ala begenze, begenze, ma begenze, raza sumungate soa. Te ala begenze, begenze, ma begenze, raza sumungate soa. Te ala begenze, begenze, ma begenze, raza sumungate soa. Te ala begenze, begenze, ma begenze, raza sumungate soa. Te ala begenze, begenze, ma begenze, raza sumungate soa. Te ala begenze, begenze, ma begenze, raza sumungate soa. Te ala begenze, begenze, ma begenze, raza sumungate soa. Te ala begenze, begenze, ma begenze, raza sumungate soa. Te ala begenze, begenze, ma begenze, raza sumungate soa. Te ala begenze, begenze, ma begenze, raza sumungate soa. Te ala begenze, begenze, ma begenze, raza sumungate soa. Te ala begenze, begenze, ma begenze, raza sumungate soa. Te ala begenze, begenze, ma begenze. rasu sumungate soa Teganda umbegenze begenze va begenze rasu sumungate soa. And again, turning once again to this connection, this touching of the essence. And we offer a final prayer into the essence and we pray for protection. Our protection and the protection of our beloveds and communities. But in this moment, our protection, may the essence wrap itself around us as it begins to unravel, purify, cut through all negative karma that may create obstacles for us to get free. May those obstacles to freedom be cleared. And may we be held in the essence until we meet again. And returning our attention back to the seat, returning back to this anchor of the seat and the body, returning back to this moment, back to the breath. Beginning to reawaken our bodies through simple movement. And when we're ready, just turning our attention to Santa Davis prayer, which is in the chat box, which we'll recite 3 times as our dedication of the energy of this session. We begin. May I be a protector to those without protection, a leader for those who journey, and a boat, a bridge, a passage for all those desiring the further shore. May the pain of every living creature be completely cleared away. May I be the doctor and the medicine, and may I be the nurse for all sick beings in the world until everyone is healed. Just like space and the great elements such as earth, may I always support the life of all the boundless creatures, and until they pass away from pain, may I also be the source of all life for all the realms of varied beings that reach into the ends of space. May I be a protector to those without protection, a leader for those who journey, and a boat, a bridge, a passage for all those desiring the further shore. May the pain of every living creature be completely cleared away. May I be the doctor and the medicine. May I be the nurse for all sick beings in the world until everyone is healed. Just like space and the great elements such as earth, may I always support the life of all the boundless creatures. And until they pass away from pain, may I also be the source of life for all the realms of varied beings that reach into the ends of space. And finally, may I be a protector to those without protection, a leader for those who journey, and a boat, a bridge, a passage for all those desiring the further shore. May the pain of every living creature be completely cleared away. May I be the doctor and the medicine, and may I be the nurse for all sick beings in the world until everyone is healed. Just like space and the great elements such as earth, may I always support the life of all the boundless creatures, and until they pass away from pain, may I also be the source of life for all the realms of varied beings that reach into the ends of space. All right. Thank you, everyone, for your practice. as well. And I'll see you next week as well. Thank you, everyone. Please be well, and I hope to see you on Thursday if you can tune in. All right. All right. Thank you, everyone.